Welcome! Today, we're tackling an invisible force that every single engineer has to deal with. If you get it wrong, it can quietly kill your entire project. But if you get it right, it's your ticket to a smooth product launch. So let's just dive right in. For way too many engineering teams out there, the answer to that question is a really painful and very, very expensive yes. And this isn't some far-off risk, it's a harsh reality in modern product development. Okay, so what exactly is this invisible threat? Well, it all comes down to electromagnetic energy. And to really get a handle on it, you need to understand two key concepts. They're often mixed up, but they're really just two sides of the same coin: EMI and EMC. I love this slide because it makes it so simple. The best way to think about it is like trying to have a conversation in a really loud, noisy room. EMI, that's all the background chatter and noise making it hard to hear. EMC, on the other hand, is the goal. It's your ability to speak clearly and also hear what the other person is saying, all without making the room even noisier yourself. So, let's zoom in on EMI. Put simply, EMI is the noise that your product is making. It's that unwanted energy it's shooting out into the air or pushing down its cables that could totally mess with other electronics nearby. So when we do EMI testing, we're basically measuring how loud your device is shouting into the environment. And here, this is the end game. EMC means your product is a good electromagnetic citizen. It has to be able to speak without shouting. That's all about controlling its own emissions. And it also has to listen without getting confused by all the other noise out there. That's its immunity. It absolutely has to do both to be compliant. Okay, so we've got the concepts down. But why is this such a massive headache for modern products specifically? Let's take a look at why this whole problem is actually getting harder to solve, not easier. Think about it. Modern electronics are faster, smaller, and way more connected than they've ever been. Our processors are switching at insane speeds, we're cramming components closer and closer together, and pretty much everything has Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Each one of these things, while awesome for performance, creates what is basically a perfect storm for EMI and EMC nightmares. And a lot of these failures, they start right here on the printed circuit board. Get this, a single, badly routed trace on your board can literally turn into an antenna, just broadcasting noise and causing total chaos. And it's the stuff that seems small, like a weak ground plane or a missing capacitor. These are the tiny oversights that often lead to the massive compliance failure later on. But the problem doesn't stop at the PCB. A cheap plastic case, it gives you almost zero shielding. A messy rat's nest of cables, you're just asking for crosstalk. And here's the one that catches so many teams by surprise. You can have a system where every single component passed its individual tests, but when you put them all together, their noise adds up, and the entire system fails. Now, let's be crystal clear about this. This is not just an engineering problem. This is a business problem. If you fail a certification test, you can't sell your product. End of story. We are talking about unbelievably expensive redesigns, product recalls that can absolutely destroy a company's reputation. And in critical areas like medical or aerospace, a failure can have deadly serious safety consequences. Okay, that all sounds pretty scary, right? So how do you actually get ahead of these issues before they turn into a full-blown catastrophe? Well, the answer isn't just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's a structured, methodical approach to testing that looks at the entire picture. The path to getting this right really involves checking both sides of that coin we talked about. First up is emissions. You have to measure exactly how much noise your device is putting out, both through the air and down its power cords. Then there's immunity. How well can your device take a hit? Can it handle all the noise from the outside world, like stray radio waves or a big static shock? But let's be real, navigating this incredibly complex world of standards and testing, it's not something you can just do in your garage. It takes specialized labs, deep expertise, and this part is critical, the right official accreditations to make sure your results are actually accepted. This is where finding the right partner is no longer optional. It's a core part of your strategy. A perfect example of this is a facility like BE Analytic in Bengaluru. They're a full-service lab that's designed not just to run a test and give you a piece of paper, but to be a true partner. They're there to help you evaluate, troubleshoot, and actually fix your device's performance to get you to market that much faster. And when you're looking for a partner, these accreditations, they're everything. They are your proof of quality. So for instance, BE Analytic has NABL accreditation, which is the national standard in India. But what really makes them stand out is their DGAQA-recognised accreditation. That is the official stamp of approval for Indian defense projects, meaning they are trusted to handle the absolute toughest military standards out there, like MILSTOD 461. And that kind of deep expertise isn't just limited to one niche. A truly great lab needs to cover the standards for pretty much every major industry you can think of. From the intense MIL standard 461 for aerospace, to CISPR 25 for automotive, all the way down to the FCC and CE marks that every single commercial product has to pass. So what does all this really mean for your project? Well, it means you should be looking for a partner that gives you access to state-of-the-art equipment and, this is even more important, engineers with years of experience who don't just hand you a pass-fail report, they help you find the why and solve the problem. Finding a partner like that is a strategic advantage that saves you time, protects your budget, and gets your product launched faster. Okay, let's bring all this home. Let's talk about the single most important takeaway for you and your team. This is about a fundamental shift in mindset that really separates the successful product launches from the ones that end in disaster. If you remember just one thing from our entire discussion, please let it be this. Far too many teams see compliance testing as just another line item expense. And that is absolutely the wrong way to think about it. Proactive testing is an investment. It is your insurance policy against the enormous cost of a failed launch, a full-scale redesign, or a humiliating product recall. The failure will always cost more than the test. Always. So, as you're planning your next project, ask your team this one simple question. Have we accounted for this invisible threat? Because getting it right the first time, that isn't luck. It's the direct result of making compliance a priority from day one. It's how you protect your product, your budget, and ultimately your brand.